Hey everybody, welcome back. Movie review time, where basically I geek out over a movie I just saw, and today I just saw Resident Evil, the final chapter. Yeah. So I did see it alone. Mary wasn't feeling well. She didn't want to see this movie anyways. It's not her cup of tea, so it was weird going to the theater on my own, but I haven't done that in years, but I'm glad I did. So this is going to be my all the spoiler reviews. I'm going to talk spoilers left and right, up and down, all around about this movie. So, I'm going to spoil the crap out of it. If you don't want spoilers and you still want a review, I have a link in the description below to a no spoiler review, or something's popping up right about now. You can click on that instead, then come on back and watch this when you're ready to geek out over this movie, spoilerifically, if you will. I wouldn't, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyways, yeah, so like I said, usually I thought about shooting in the parking lot. I had some errands to run and, stopped by and saw Mary, came home, cleaned up all that stuff. So I'm shooting this a little bit after seeing the movie. I've had some time to gather my thoughts a little bit. So this might be a little bit better of a review than usual. So again, like I said, the no spoilers. I like these movies. I love the games. I'd like to see a more accurate interpretation of the games one of these days. But these movies are what they are. And this is not the worst one. This is not the best one. I like the last one better, the last two better, honestly, than this one. But this one was like all action, non-stop action. And I'm realizing right now I didn't do my whole spoiler thing. So let me just be clear that from here on it is spoiler territory. So hopefully you're gone. All right, yeah, so it is non-stop action. It starts on a bang, it ends on a bang, and let me just get to the first thing, how the movie immediately aggravates me, and I kind of figured this would be the case, but the last movie left off with them going to Washington, and they're standing on top of the White House just looking out over the hordes of just all the monsters in the universe, and they're like, we're gonna fight this thing. So guess what? We don't get that fight. We show up in a totally decimated DC, and Alice crawls out of a hole in the ground. I'm like, God damn it. They always set up this cool shit that they never pay off, and that just really aggravates me, but I kind of figured that was going to be the case. But she does fight this big kind of winged monster that's reminiscent of this thing from Resident Evil 5, and you've seen all that in the trailers. There's not really much more to it that you haven't seen than what you have seen in the trailers, so there's a pretty good jump there when one of these monsters that look like the things from the fifth game jumps out of the water in front of the Washington Monument. I don't know my geography and stuff, or what that thing's called, so my national monument, sorry. But, so that was a cool little jump scare. So like I said, even kind of knowing how horror movies work and knowing when most of the jump scares are coming, there was still here and there some really nice little jump scares. So it's nice to get a little horror in this movie that really is just an out-and-out action movie. Because that's my thing, man. You had those couple monsters in the beginning, and then other than that, I'm pretty sure it was just zombie hordes the rest of the movie. And even those zombie hordes didn't really get a whole lot to do. I can't recall there really being any other monsters. Well, there was one other monster once they kind of get back to Raccoon City and get back down in the Hive and all that stuff. And it was pretty cool, but it wasn't the most impressive thing I've seen. They did tease a chainsaw in that sequence too, and it didn't get used, and that was a real bummer for me. They try to set up some twists and turns in here, but they don't really work out that well. I didn't think any of the characters were developed at all. They are really just fodder because, again, other than like 5 minutes, about 15 minutes left in this movie, this whole thing is just action, 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 action. So they talk a little bit there and kind of give away like the big grand plan, what's been going on from day one. And of course the big twist is Alice is a clone of the actual Alice, who is, the grown daughter who's the scientist that created the T virus created it to save his young daughter that they modeled the Red Queen off of. Now that girl did get saved, but had some problems with the T virus, and she became the head of the Umbrella Corporation. Her and Jorah from Game of Thrones. In this, he's Dr. Isaacs. And again, I think because of his popularity with Game of Thrones is why they've brought him back again in multiple times in this, because he's multiple clones. So that's kind of an easy out. But God. So that twist was a little bit spoiled for me because there's a flashback earlier to the Umbrella Corporation boardroom, and I could tell that was Milla Jovovich's old voice when you just saw the lady from behind and they didn't show her face. I'm like, oh, that's a little too obvious, so that was bothersome. Like I said, all the characters are fodder though. Like Ruby Rose is in this. She dies, and it's not even that gruesome. She goes through a fan, but you don't really get like the big blood splatter like you would hope out of it or anything, even though they set up that's what would happen. It's almost like they're trying to be artsy, and it's like, ugh, you can't even give me the gore in this. So that was annoying. There's a lot of compression of time, like, you know, like the whole thing is a countdown clock on her watch, and there's a sequence towards the end when it's like, you've got 4 minutes to save the world, and then there's this 5-minute action scene, and then there's like 2 more minutes of talking, and then she gets the stuff and busts it to save the world. I'm like, come on, man. Usually that compression of time goes the other way, so that was a little annoying. The zombie horde stuff is kind of cool, though. There was a great shot, too, of the sun is setting, and Dr. Isaac's the religious clone that he cuts off her hand and stuff. It's a pretty cool action sequence. He's like standing on top of the truck as the lights are turning on, and it's coming in under the Raccoon City bridge, and there's like these hanging bodies there, and they just start coming to life, you know, because they're undead, and that was a really striking image. That was probably my favorite thing in the whole movie, to be honest. So most of the action, though, you have seen in the movie. It's a lot of running around. The Claire Ali Larter thing, just it's like so like throwaway line. Oh, this is what happened, and this is why I'm here. And like it's like they don't care. They were just trying to get her back in the story, which is good because at least we got some of the original characters back, or you know, original from recent movies. I would like to have seen more. I don't think all of them have died off, but what are you gonna do? Also, it's interesting, too, they return to Raccoon City, big hole in the ground. The giant wall they put up around Raccoon City in the second movie, nowhere to be seen, so it doesn't matter, apparently. So that's a little weird. Giant crater conveniently opens the pathway in to a door that gets you into the Hive, so that was nice and convenient. There is a cool moment towards the end with Wesker, even though his death is so unsatisfying, where, you know, Alice, the Red Queen version, can't harm an Umbrella employee, so the old CEO version of Alice is talking to Dr. Isaacs, like, I'm 50-50 partners, I still run this place. Wesker, you're fired. And then immediately, the Red Queen drops a door on him and cuts off his legs and kind of leaves him laying there, and, you know, and then Alice gives him, like, this thing that's a bomb to blow up all the frozen CEOs of, you know, all the different corporations. He's like, hey, and tells him like, hey, when you let this go, the bomb goes off. Quite unsatisfying for me. Another like thing that I get really aggravated by is in the big end fight. She's fighting Jorah, the one who can like predict all the fight moves coming, and somehow he doesn't see his demise coming. But then the zombie horde shows up and like eats, I think, the religious clone, and like Alice is standing right in front of him. But then there's like this like 2 minutes before the zombie horde gets to her, and I'm like, there's like 10,000 zombies right in front of her. Why is none of them coming after her? They're not all converging on that one body. So things like that are really, really annoying to me. You know, and it's the kind of stuff you kind of expect from these movies, but it's like, come on, guys, you're like, what, 6, 7 movies in? I think it's 6 movies. I get confused because of the 7th game, and like, this should be better at this point, especially it's the final chapter. You don't have any monsters in here. They had like 3 different monsters that were barely in the movie, and then it's zombie hordes that are barely used. The end, you know, it's the final chapter, right? So Alice doesn't die, even though the cure is supposed to kill off any T-virus, but she wasn't affected enough by it, so she lives. And then she's speeding away, and she's like, well, you know, the original virus spread because we helped it going on planes and stuff like that. Now there's no one around to help it, so it may take years, so I've got plenty of work left to do. I'm like, come on, this was supposed to be the final chapter, so what the fuck? Why are you leaving it open-ended like that? You guys know you're not doing another one, I don't think. Well, judging by the turnout in the theater tonight, I don't think so. There were 6 people in there. I was like, eesh, that's not good. But I mean, and it's not a bad movie. I'm not trying to crap all over it. You can have a good time with this movie. I don't recommend the 3D though, because the editing is so over-edited. It's like cut. It, especially in the fight scenes, it gets very disorienting and hard to kind of follow what's going on. You know, cinematography's great, effects are great, locations, designs, all that stuff's fantastic. It's just, you know, it's just, there's nothing really there of a story. It's action-packed without really having any memorable action scenes. Yeah, so I mean, I just don't know where I stand. I don't hate it, I don't love it. It's pretty much maybe in the middle of the pack. Well, I don't know, the more I'm thinking about it, it might be my least favorite. So we had the first one, which is really good. The second one's fun because it's the closest one to the games. The third one is really good, but that's when Paul W.S. Anderson stepped away. The fourth one, that's really good though, because they had Chris Redfield show up, went with Miller. And then the last one was really good too. What I remember of it was really good. Maybe it was. Oh yeah, because they had the big underground umbrella thing and Leon, so that was much like the games too. So this might actually be my least favorite, come to think of it. And I'm not saying it's terrible. It's worth seeing. If you like these movies, you'll enjoy it. It's worth seeing. But other than that, I can't give it too huge of a recommendation. Even knowing what these movies were, I still left a little bit disappointed by it. So that's what you're gonna do. There's some other things I'm sure I could get in here and critique and nitpick, but I just don't wanna. I've talked enough about this movie, honestly. But I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I got to see it. I'm glad I got to see one in the theater. But yeah, I'm not excited to rewatch this one again. There's plenty of movies I've seen this year, or last year, I guess, and this year that I would love to see again. This one, I'm like, meh, maybe one day when I'm really, really bored or want to do a whole marathon of the series. But anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on the movie. I would love to hear your thoughts. Geek out with me in the comments. I would love to see, you know, you agree, you disagree, what you did like, what you didn't like, favorite scenes, favorite characters, all that kind of stuff. Let me know. Talk to me in the comments about it. Geek out with me, because it is Resident Evil. I like to geek out over Resident Evil. Other than that, you can click the thumbs up button. Give me the big old thumbs of encouragement because I do love to be encouraged. All right, I'm going to get out of here, watch some more movies, and I will see you guys later.